Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today, we're going to be talking about the future of rapid transit in Montreal. We made a similar video over a year ago, and since our production quality and insights have improved, we thought it was time for a remake. We should also note that finally, Montreal's transit plans meet the scope of this important city, and we're super excited for what's in store. In addition to rapid transit lines, this video is also going to discuss the locations of the primary rail yards in the city's transit network, as well as do an in-depth look at the exciting expansions coming to the regional rail network. Now strap in and we'll get started. Before we get to the video, we want to give a quick shout out to our newest patrons, Matthew and Septentrion. Thanks so much for your support. Supporting us on Patreon is the best way to help us keep bringing new content to you guys frequently, and you'll also be able to get sneak peeks and early access to some of our videos, as well as a monthly patron-only livestream. You can also support us by giving a one-time donation, which you can do through our Ko-fi page. And furthermore, we wanted to quickly remind everyone to practice social distancing in this difficult time. Please stay home and keep yourself and your community safe. Alright, time to get back to the main content of the day. To start off, let's take a look at the STM's existing rapid transit lines which form the Montreal Metro. First up, we have the Orange Line, which is of course Montreal's primary metro line. It connects downtown Montreal to Laval, the boroughs of Saint-Michel, Plateau Montréal, Notre-Dame-de-Grâce, and Saint-Laurent along a 31-stop U-shaped route. On another note, the Orange Line is entirely enclosed like the rest of the Montreal Metro, and carries more riders each day than the rapid transit networks of other Canadian cities such as Vancouver and Ottawa. Maintenance and storage for the Orange Line occurs at Youville, with storage tracks at Montmorency and Côte-Véchue. Second, we have the Green Line, which serves an axis largely perpendicular to both Orange Line segments, acting as Montreal's primary east-west link. The Green Line connects downtown Montreal to La Salle, Ville-les-Maudes, Verdun, Pointe-Saint-Charles, as well as Messier, Hochelaga, Maisonneuve, along a 27-station route. Since we're talking ridership for existing lines, the Green Line carries more people every day than the entire BART system in San Francisco. Also, we have to point out that the Montreal Metro's U-shaped Orange Line and horizontal Green Line looks eerily like another transit system, but as they say, imitation is the sincerest form of flattery. Maintenance for the Green Line happens at Honoré-Beaugrand, with storage at Angrignon Garage. Third up, we have the also interesting and short Yellow Line. The Yellow Line is quite unique in our minds as it is less than 5 kilometers long with only 3 stations, and yet uses full metro rolling stock unlike other short lines on different transit systems. Because of this and the somewhat low frequencies when compared to the rest of the network, the Yellow Line ends up feeling like the biggest shuttle train ever. Maintenance for this line is done at shops at either the Orange or Green Lines, while storage happens at tail tracks located adjacent to each terminus. Finally, we have the Blue Line, which is a moderately long east-west 12-station 10-kilometer line to the north of Montreal. This is the newest traditional metro line in Montreal, with opening dates through the 1980s. Given its low ridership, the line opened with 3 car trains and now operates with 6 car sets, reminiscent of the 2/3 full-length trains of Toronto's Shepherd Line. The Blue Line connects Côte-des-Neiges, Outremont, and Saint-Michel. Trains are stored similarly to the Yellow Line in sets of tail tracks at both termini, with maintenance occurring at the Youville shops which are connected to the Blue Line via a direct tunnel between the Castelnau and Parc stations. The Blue Line's eastern terminus of Saint-Michel is also the physically shortest station in the network, having only been built to accommodate 6 car trains, with the leftover space in the tunnel arriving from d'Iberville to complete the remaining station in the event of an increase in capacity. We have to say that we're big fans of the way that Montreal has created 3 cross-line rapid transit corridors in a way that Toronto can still only dream of, by running the Orange Line east-west in downtown Montreal, as well as the Blue Line all the way between the Orange Line's eastern and western legs. Before we get into the future of the system, we should also mention the extensive network of commuter trains currently operated by EXO, which currently consists of 6 lines. The Vaudreuil-Hudson Line connects Lucien Lallier Station in downtown Montreal with Vaudreuil-Dorion off Island, as well as connecting areas such as Dorval, Lachine, and also the McGill University Health Center at Vendôme, where a metro connection is also available. The Vaudreuil-Hudson line forms the main rail link to the West Island prior to the opening of the REM, and currently has more metro connections than any other EXO line. The Saint-Jérôme line connects Lucien-Lallier station in downtown Montreal with the Laurentians and Laval off-island, as well as north-central Montreal with a metro connection at De la Concorde, Parc, and Vendôme. The line also features a massive gap between Blainville and Saint-Jérôme at over 15 kilometers long. The Candiac line connects Lucien-Lallier station with Lachine and LaSalle on-island, as well as Delson and Candiac off-island. And much like other lines in the Lucien-Lallier group, the Candiac line has a metro connection at Vendôme. The Mont-Saint-Hilaire line originates from Gare Centrale in downtown Montreal with connections to Longueuil, including a station located very close to Saint-Hubert Regional Airport, as well as Saint-Hilaire, which contains the namesake Mont-Saint-Hilaire Nature Park. The Mascouche line also originates from Gare Centrale in downtown Montreal, connecting with Montreal North's destinations including Rivière des Prairies and Pointe-aux-Trembles, as well as Terrebonne, Repentigny, and Mascouche on the North Shore, with a metro connection at Solvay. The Mascouche line interestingly has a large guideway, mixed high and low platforms, and a very strange U-curve section where it passes under a shed near a munitions facility, making it Canada's most unique rail line in my personal view. While it was the only line on the EXO network to be partially electrified as it passed through the restrictive Montreal tunnel, this is no longer the case as of late, as the tunnel has been closed for construction. In the interim, some trains on the Mascouche line will through run all the way around Montreal to Gare Centrale, and in the long term, a new convenient transfer station near the A40 will allow Mascouche riders to transfer onto frequent Wi-Fi-enabled metro trains on the REM to head to downtown Montreal. And finally, the now modified and soon-to-be defunct electrified Du Montagnier line terminated at Gare Centrale in downtown Montreal, with connections to the town of Mont-Royal, Annecy-Cartierville, Ville-Saint-Laurent, Pierrefonds-Roxborough, Western Laval, Ile-Bigras, and Du Montagnier. This line will essentially still exist in its entirety as part of the REM project, although with full grade separation, enhanced stations, and other brand new amenities, many of which are new to North America. In terms of maintenance and storage, a large facility exists in Pointe-Saint-Charles, as well as in Lachine. Du Montagnier also has an EMU maintenance and storage facility, which will be converted for use by the new REM network. And we really appreciate this decision, as such a large network should likely have distributed facilities. And of course, much like with other commuter operators, EXO stores trains near the end of lines overnight as well. As you probably noticed, Montreal, unlike Toronto, has 2 downtown rail terminals, which we think is very cool. Hence, the commuter lines are separated into 2 groups based on their termini. Perhaps even more interestingly, Montreal's primary rail hub, Gare Centrale or Central Station, is also underground and features high platforms, which service via intercity rail as well as commuter services. Contrasting this, Lucien-Lallier is a somewhat cramped above-ground station on the western end of Montreal's core that unfortunately doesn't really feature any platform canopies. That being said, Montreal does face a bit of a long-term capacity issue because now both of its downtown hubs are dead ends, which could create long-term capacity constraints. It's also worth noting that, interestingly, a number of the current commuter lines in Montreal are the revived descendants of passenger railways, which operated in the 1800s, and that, unlike Toronto, a fairly decent amount of this network was electrified, including the now de-electrified trackage to the south of Gare Centrale, the infrastructure for which remains to this day. Now, let's start discussing the major under-construction projects in the Montreal region. First up, we have the Côte-Vertu Garage project for the Montreal Metro, which is a major new underground maintenance and storage facility north of the Côte-Vertu Metro terminus on the Orange Line. The garage is quite unique compared to other projects internationally, as it is being blasted out of the earth. This project will enable more trains for the Orange Line to serve its ever-growing passenger numbers, in addition to aiding train deployment on the western branch of the yard. Next up, we have one of the most exciting projects in the city and in the country. The REM is a new high-capacity regional rail network for the Montreal region. The line takes the electrified commuter rail service on the Du Montagnier line and replaces it with a new high-frequency automated metro line akin to the Vancouver SkyTrain or Sydney Metro. And of course, part of this network is the newly rebuilt Du Montagnier line with new stations and full double tracking. Next up, we have the new West Island line, which will head out to Kirkland and other areas of the West Island, and will be linked to the Du Montagnier line and Bois-Franc. This line will be largely elevated along the A40 autoroute. It will be a nice new high-frequency service to supplement the West Island EXO line. The next new line is the Airport line, which will also connect to Bois-Franc. The line will then travel southwest and enter a tunnel before it arrives at the Marie Curie station and airport stations underground, which will be unique for an aerial link in Canada. And finally, the REM also includes a new South Shore line which serves the South Shore, of course, as well as some areas south and west of downtown Montreal, utilizing the new Champlain Bridge to cross the St. Lawrence, as well as the A10 auto route on the South Shore. We're incredibly excited about the REM, and while it does mean giving up the Deux Montagnes commuter line and its 25 kV electrification, the benefits are far beyond anything that was proposed for the Deux Montagnes line, including full height platforms, full automation, high-quality fully enclosed stations with platform screen doors, and more. Not only does this give Montreal a new rapid transit network that will provide a similar, if not higher service to the current metro, albeit usually over longer distances, but the REM also gives Montreal a new starting point for a more extensive regional network by allowing trains to travel above ground unlike the existing metro. This, coupled with shorter but still high-frequency trains, should make major expansions to the metro much more palatable, particularly in areas like Laval. This will give Montreal the enviable position of having a short-distance network in the form of the existing metro and a long-haul network in the REM, akin to the RER and metro in Paris, or the U-Bahn and S-Bahn in many German cities. The REM will feature two primary maintenance and storage facilities, the previously mentioned converted Deux Montagnes shops, as well as a new OMF located at the Brossard terminus. If you're interested in learning more about the REM, check out our recent Demystified video covering the project in depth, featuring construction photos and renders. Now, for the rest of this video, we're going to pass the baton over to someone who's got a bit more experience with Montreal and who can pronounce French names much better than I ever could. Ben, you're up!
Hello viewers, my name is Ben, though you might know me from my channel, theNOVABUSfan. I've been making videos about the public transportation of Montreal for the better part of a decade now, and I couldn't be more excited about the plans of expansion slated for our city, whether they are set in stone or simply proposed. It would be my pleasure to talk you through some of these projects, not only because I'm a native to the Montreal area, but also to give Ellen a little bit of relief with those tricky pronunciations. Let's get right to it. Now for this section, we won't go into too many specific details, since the planned lines across the greater Montreal area have unfortunately long been under flux. We think the current provincial and regional government's plans are relatively strong overall, and we're relatively optimistic that they will be able to deliver the lines they have proposed, which is a very positive change from the past. Though we would like to see a bit more focus on the core of the network, the Montreal Metro itself. In that vein, the first project I'll talk about is the Andra Extension, which is a 5-stop eastbound extension of the Blue Line, following Jean Talon East, terminating at the Galerie d'Anjou Mall. The plans include stations at Pineuf, Viau, Lacordaire, and Langelier Boulevards, though final names have yet to be chosen. To be fair, this project is much further along than the others we will mention, as it has been repeatedly promised and delayed for years. Fortunately, preparations and land purchases for actual construction are finally underway, with a projected construction start date in 2021 and hopefully the opening of the extension by 2026. Since the plans for the REM were originally presented, a connection between the REM station at Pierre Elliott Trudeau Airport and the Dorval multimodal station a stone's throw to the south have been proposed. This would mean a new connection to EXO's Vaudreuil Hudson Line and Via Rail, allowing for even more convenient connections to the commuter rail network and Via's Quebec-Windsor corridor. Even though this extension isn't formally proposed right now, the support for it has been undeniable. It makes so much sense that we felt we should include it, as we are sure it is bound to happen sooner than later. Next up, we have the proposed South Shore Tramway project, which will operate low-floor, light rail trains similar to the Huron-Ontario and Ion LRTs in Ontario. This line is pretty cool, as it will connect the under-construction Panama REM station with the existing Longueuil Université de Sherbrooke metro station. The line is proposed to travel nearly its entire length along the wide Tachereau Boulevard, which will be redesigned to be more human-oriented with improved pedestrian and cycling elements, as well as more greenery and an enhanced public space. This line could be the first tramway-style system in Montreal since the late 1950s, which we find deeply exciting, something that is only enhanced by the multiple rapid transit connections. Hopefully, this is the first of many new tramways in the region. As predicted in Reece's previous REM video, the low cost of construction of this new light metro has already attracted a number of new proposals, the first of which is a major expansion of the REM network into Laval. This proposal from the province has a new route crossing Laval along Autoroute 440 over 2 branches, one continuing west to meet up with the initial REM segment at Sainte-Dorothée, and another branch turning south off the 440 to travel down Boulevard Chamédé and across the Côte Vertu to interchange with the Orange Line of the Metro. Though it is believed that if the extension of the Metro to Bois-Franc goes through, this REM extension would also terminate there, creating a rather major connection point between traditional Metro and the expansive new light Metro system. Another smaller but potentially more likely proposed REM extension is on the South Shore, connecting the existing South Shore branch near the Ducartier station to a new branch towards Chambly, roughly 12 kilometers southeast along Autoroute 10. This extension also feels likely because its proposal actually led the consortium in charge of the initial REM project to slightly modify the tracks just before the terminus at Brassard. Though this does mean that Chambly and Brassard will be on different branches, we are totally okay with it given that we don't think there is likely to be a massive amount of riders heading from Brassard to Chambly, and this does elevate the importance of Ducartier as the connection point between these branches, which is appropriate given the major development occurring there. In case you haven't noticed, a lot of REM routes also follow highway corridors, and we think this is a great thing, taking corridors largely dedicated to cars and adding electric rail transit to the mix. We also think that all these extensions will go a long way towards making the REM feel more like its own network, and that's super exciting. Finally, in addition to the REM and tramway proposals off the island of Montreal, there is also a tramway proposal on the island itself. However, it feels like this project is the most susceptible to future change at the moment, so consider yourself warned. The proposed line, a crosstown LF-LRT, likely taking cues from the Eglinton Crosstown in Toronto, is planned to link Lachine to as far northeast as Pointe-aux-Trembles, and potentially further still towards Terrebonne. However, for some portions of this line further from the downtown core, we do expect potential off-street operations, which could make this line more like a tram train. In terms of the proposed routing, it does seem quite likely that much of the route would follow the relatively wide Rue Notre-Dame for much of its length. There is also a proposed branch north from Notre-Dame following the Trans-Canada Highway or Autoroute 25, which would connect to the Blue Line extension at Anjou and the Green Line at Honoré-Beaugras. We love that the proposed projects include a lot of branches as this leads to more connections and interchange opportunities.
Thanks so much to Ben for making a guest appearance and for helping us put this video together. Check out his channel and subscribe if you haven't yet. In conclusion, when or if all is said and done, the Greater Montreal area will have 12 electrified rail services, including 4 metro lines, 6 REM services, 2 tramways, and 5 commuter rail lines. These numbers excite us immensely, and when all of these extensions and expansion projects mentioned in this video are complete, Montreal will undeniably have a world-class transportation network, possibly the best in Canada, and easily in the same league as the best networks globally in Europe and Asia. In the meantime though, we'll be around to keep you guys updated on the progress, and we'll definitely be checking out some of the construction on site and be there when new projects open. If you enjoyed this video, like, subscribe, and let us know down in the comments which project you're most excited for in the future of rapid transit in Montreal, and which city we should cover next. Follow us on Twitter and Instagram, and support us on Patreon or Ko-fi if you would like to help us keep doing what we do. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.